Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. The central government brought in an ordinance about 10 days ago, which overturned the Supreme Court judgment, which defined the elected government's control on the services in Delhi. Since the time the ordinance came, Arvind Kejriwal, who's the Chief Minister of Delhi, has been going around across the country, meeting various political parties and soliciting their support. Last week, he also saw time from Mallikarjun Kharge and Rahul Gandhi, but he hasn't got time. And apparently, Congress had a meeting with its state leaders in Punjab, in Delhi, and elsewhere, and they probably will not entertain Kejriwal. Now, the question is that is the ordinance issue about Kejriwal for Congress if it's opposing the ordinance, or is it about taming and eliminating Aam Aadmi Party? Joining me now is former Lok Sabha MP and senior Congress leader Sandeep Dikshit. So thank you so much, Mr. Dikshit, for joining on.
Thank you.
Federal.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
So my first question to you is that why is Congress really opposing the ordinance which has been brought in by the center?
No, first of all, I don't think we are opposing the ordinance. There is no decision about, at least from the national level, to oppose the I know individually almost all the second line, third line, and some of the the top line leaders of Delhi are very clearly saying that Arvind Kejriwal's position on the ordinance is incorrect. And let me just in a few words explain that. I mean, what is the ordinance all about? Ordinance re-establishes the position that the government of India had created some time back, in which they had very explicitly said that apart from land and law and order and one or two other things, services, which basically means transfers and postings, services means nothing else, would also be somewhere where the government of Delhi and the government of India will together do that. And that has been the case even earlier on. I mean, Arvind Kejriwal goes around making all kinds of things that in Shiraji's time, this was not the case, which is incorrect. In Madam's time, only joint secretaries and below were postings that government of India could do without any reference to the central government. As far as other officers were concerned, central government had a role. It is because she was able to maintain cordial relations with people. That is because of her nature and the fact that ultimately she never used excuses of fight with the government in any of her discussions, and realized performance is the only political stand she has. And I suppose governments at that time at the center also believed that. Things always got sorted out. I mean, there were some horrific instances. I remember the principal private secretary to the CM, and you also know that the principal private secretary to the CM is the most important officer, gets changed overnight. In the evening, he goes home. 6:37, Chidambaram's department changes him, sends him off somewhere. Madam protests. She's told no. It happened, you must have seen Ajay Makanji's tweets that happened in a lot of departments where Congress was working. But these are okay. I mean, obviously you would not want certain officers to be changed. But if they get changed also, it does not change either the loyalties of the officer or the level of governance you can do. Because, Neeruji, you may remember, especially in the 70s and 80s or till the 70s and 80s, the chief secretaries actually did all the postings. The CMs didn't interfere. Collectors were all posted by government. It is only when this rather dark period of political interference in postings, of which money started playing a very, very crucial role, is this whole issue of CMs looking after, collector postings up to, in fact, places like UP and Bihar and Madhya Pradesh, up to SDM level, up to Thanedar level. And that is actually what is really destroyed. So frankly speaking, actually, Kejriwal actually wants us to go back to the kind of dark Raj that they are talking about. So one is, I don't think it substantially impacts Delhi at all. Secondly, is it's really Kejriwal not saving the constitution.
Kejriwal's statement, Sandeep ji, he has been saying that it's not about Kejriwal, but it's about the rights of the people of Delhi. Yesterday also he said that Congress should not be opposing this ordinance because this ordinance snatches away the rights of the people of Delhi. This is exactly what he said.
Ma'am, the rights of the people of Delhi as voters and citizens is defined in the constitution. Right? And rights are not the same everywhere, which is why there are states and there are union territories. Right. There is Daman and Diu. Why aren't people of Daman and Diu having the same rights as Delhi? Why aren't people in Chandigarh having the same rights as Delhi? So it's not that it is equal right for every. Let's be very, very clear, right? Delhi, first and foremost, is a what is called a union territory. Union territory is different from the states. Okay, my thing is, if you feel that is not the issue, that should not be the case, kindly form the central government, bring a constitutional amendment and demolish union territories and make everybody equal. Right? You and I may have a women fancy that we don't have equal rights, but that is not the case. That is how the constitution has been defined. So, this whole talk about constitutional being damaged is all bunkum. Most of the chief ministers don't know the special status of Delhi. Delhi is a special status. And Niloji, it's not just the case of Delhi. Look at cantonment areas. Cantonment areas have different building norms than MCD areas in Delhi. If you are living, say, 500 meters from an eco-fragile zone or from, say, a river or from the seabed, you cannot build what somebody else can build. Does everybody have same rights?
So
you can say destroy the forest, because forest dwellers should have the same rights of building 100-story buildings as, say, you can do in Delhi. So, it is circumstances, it is the natural habitat, it is the way of structure of governance that very often determines the form in which various powers are decided. And in their wisdom, Niruji, I'm just finishing. In their wisdom, over time, different parties have come to the same conclusion. 93, the new state formation comes up. When Narasimha Rao was in power, if you remember, BJP constantly said, give us more powers. Then Atal Bihari ji becomes prime minister. They go to the administration of Delhi and realize that with a prime minister sitting there and a chief minister sitting there, there's only so many powers you can give to a chief minister. Congress comes to power. Congress had initially also said we want a fuller statehood. Over time, that also got changed. Our views changed, and I'm ready to say that I, for example, in 2004, when I became an MP, said no more power should be given. Over time, I realized more powers cannot be given. See, Delhi is very, very peculiar. It has Government of India institutions. And it is, whether somebody misuses the position of chief minister or not, the fact that it can be misused, right? Let me give a small example. If you remember, in 2013 or 14, when he became CM for the first or second time, when Modi was prime minister, you remember the prime minister brought some sandalwood from Karnataka to take to Nepal. Do you remember that? And this Kejriwal sent forest officers to the prime minister to say that you smuggled sandalwood because it has come from Karnataka. It has not been registered from Delhi, and therefore the prime minister can be made into a criminal. Look at this ridiculous nonsense that this Kejriwal did. Thankfully, the police was not in his hands. Otherwise, we would have had an international incident. Imagine if the Delhi police at that time declared that this was illegal, then might as well arrest the prime minister of Nepal also, who received an illegally brought in smuggled good. I mean, this is and I'll tell you, he is the victim of his own nonsense. He has made people believe that a person like Kejriwal, if they come into Delhi, will create so much nonsense that all confidence that a Delhi government can be a responsible government has been lost. And it is he who has betrayed the people of Delhi by fiddling with a system that worked for the people of Delhi. Delhi is one of the most progressive states in India. So it's not that Delhi has ever suffered, and Delhi has got a lot of advantage because it's a partial state.
Right. But we all know that Kejriwal has been opposing, how he opposed Sheila Dikshit. It's not, everybody has seen it. And he also went to the extent of saying, ki sab neta chor hai, sab corrupt hai. This is what he used to say. Now that he's garnering support from the Congress, what is basically your stand? Will Congress support the ordinance or will it oppose the ordinance?
No, my question is, we cannot see, first of all, this is a mess that the BJP and the Aam Aadmi have created. Okay. In BJP's case also, let me put what my view is. If you thought that the Supreme Court judgment is wrong, and governments can have a view that the Supreme Court judgment is wrong, a lot of governments have had that view. We are in a democratic setup. You could have called the government of Delhi. Congress may be just 10% of Delhi's vote. We are also a stakeholder. You know this whole thing called all-party meetings. All-party meetings are called. Call everybody. Say in this situation, this is our point of view. This is your point of view. Listen to people's advice. You could have had a discussive format and then brought in your, obviously government will do what they want to, right? But government of India also rushed in, in a kind of a cavalier fashion. Their problem is that even if they do something correct, they're so cavalier, undemocratic, rude and crude about it that, government of India looks like clumsy and frankly speaking, dictatorial in almost everything it does. And in this case, there were these two people who never even talked to each other. I mean, the first thing Kejriwal should have done is taken a delegation to the prime minister. He's your prime minister, for God's sake. Forget the fact that we will oppose him on the streets. But if it's an issue of governance, if an issue of power, At least go to the Prime Minister. If you think if you say I can do it, you can go and fall at the feet of Mr. Pawar, whom you actually called the agent of a terrorist by the name of Telgi. You could have gone to the Prime Minister for the people of Delhi and asked him, no?
Right.
So according to me, this is a mess these two parties have brought about. Let them handle this mess. The people of India have not given us a position to determine the
Congress be out
constitutional
of this
status.
mess?
My
So-
thing is we should refrain from voting, not
Right.
support the ordinance or not oppose the ordinance.
Okay, so you're saying that we will refrain from voting? Not
No, we should.
supporting and
I'm not saying
opposing.
I'm not the decision maker in the Congress. I was not even called to the meeting of the president.
Right.
So very clearly, my party is very clear that my opinion does not matter in the party. But my opinion as a Congress worker is that we should not support either one of them and clearly refrain. And there is a political reason also for that, which if you give me time, I'll also talk about.
But Sandeep ji, even if you refrain, will people not accuse Congress of being hypocritical on this whole issue? Because
What about
you have opposed ordinance in the past as well.
No, what about Kejriwal's stand on Article 370 then?
Hmm.
Why isn't anybody calling him hypocritical? Sara boj hum hi le le kya? I mean, are we the only standard in India? Are we the only absolute? I mean, in this case, frankly speaking, the ordinance is a correct ordinance. By the construct and the way in which Congress thought, Congress took the stand of opposing the amendment on 370 because Congress consistently had a particular stand.
Right.
This fellow has no stand on Article 370 because he believed that it will, excite some Hindu feeling somewhere, and he's been playing this Hindu politics for a long period of time.
Right.
He jumps and almost falls at the feet of the Prime Minister and says, "Wow, kingdom come." So, do the people of Jammu and Kashmir who were reduced from, forget Article 370, they reduced Jammu and Kashmir to a union territory. Did he not have he wants to be Prime Minister of this country. Does he have no feelings at all for the rights of the people of Jammu and Kashmir? And what about other people in Delhi? I'm amazed. Delhi people have a problem. If some perceived power is taken away from their chief minister, they didn't have a problem in Jammu and Kashmir.
But
Are Jammu and Kashmir not equal citizens of this nation?
Sandeep ji, from what you are saying, it's very clear that the ordinance is no longer a legal or a technical issue. Neither is it a fight for numbers. So is it all about settling the political scores with the Aam Aadmi Party? Is that what you mean?
No, not really so. Not really so. Because there have been instances in the past where we have opposed Government of India's interference in Delhi. It's not that. There have been places where, in lot of little things that they used to do. But my thing is, they are not interfering in Delhi. See, this is the same system that worked, and nobody, except for Kejriwal and his, Andhbhakt, he has a bigger gang than Modi also. Nobody says that 15 years Mrs. Dikshit did not transform Delhi. And how did that happen in the same system? And I can tell you, Neeluji, very frankly, whether Congress believes or not, from whatever I remember, from what my mother tells me, and here she told me as a mother, not as the Chief Minister of Delhi, she probably got more support and a more positive environment in the 5 years of BJP than in the 10 years of Congress. For whatever reason. But did you ever find her going out? Did she ever in Nirbhay can't come and tell anybody it is the Home Ministry and the Government of India and not me who's responsible? Nirbhay is, frankly speaking, almost cost us the government. Did we do that? We went to the Government of India to say change the police commissioner.
Right.
Whether it's police commissioner's fault or not, there is a way of trying to give an impression to people. Government of India almost laughed at us and said it's a laughable matter.
Right.
They sacrificed their chief minister for a police commissioner. That is their political decision. But did we go to the streets for that? So I don't think it's a matter of that. The other thing is also, I'll also tell you, if you want to know my political thing behind it, is that, see, Arvind Kejriwal will always stab the very people who help him. I'll tell you what will happen. In case he will go around and get his favorite media to tom-tom the fact that opposition rallies behind Kejriwal. Kejriwal is the new star of the opposition. And in case the bill falls, Kejriwal defeats Modi. They will forget the fact that it is Congress that is supporting them, forget the fact that it is other parties that is supporting them. So this fellow will lie through his teeth to an extent. And if Congress is ready to do that, then I think we have a problem as far as our national leadership is concerned. But I'm quite sure they have more sense than that.
But ultimately then, this whole ordinance in Delhi, if I may particularly ask you about the Congress stand, of course, you've spelled out many things, but what is going to be the final thing? Are you against the ordinance in Delhi, or will you support the ordinance in Delhi?
I think we should abstain from it very clearly. We should abstain from it. And Niluji says one more point, because there's another point constantly saying that he, Kejriwal made a statement. Suppose they bring an ordinance and take away the powers of the government of Rajasthan, right? I mean, only a stupid idiot can say that. The powers of the states are clearly defined in the constitution. An ordinance cannot change the constitution. I mean, what has he done in income tax for 20 years of his life? I really don't know. I mean, an income tax officer can make such a stupid statement and people can accept that. Frankly speaking, we are living in a land of morons. I'm really, really sorry.
But is Congress not worried of being called a BJP ally in Delhi then? Because you're almost repeating what...
supporting a person who's a charlatan and who's misleading people is the important part. This is not for me, this is not a BJP versus AAP issue. He makes everything as a BJP versus AAP issue because he cannot see politics beyond himself. That's his problem. Sometimes there are issues in politics in which you support. Suppose tomorrow some country attacks us, right? And we stand behind the Prime Minister. Is it supporting the BJP or is it working for the nation? I think it is important. As I'm saying, I may be dissatisfied with the setup of Delhi. Then bring a constitution amendment, na? Tell the people of India, give us 2/3 of the majority, get 2/3 of the majority and bring in an amendment, no problem. In the current situation of Delhi, Delhi cannot get these powers. You change the status, you make Delhi a full state, no problem.
So you feel that this ordinance which has been brought in by the center is well placed within the Delhi landscape?
Also, remember, ma'am, the Supreme Court judgment states, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'll just tell you in plain speak what I've understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that when the government of India brought services into the domain where government of India will also play a role in transfers and postings, and frankly speaking, it's only in transfers and postings, okay? In nothing else, okay? Government of India cannot tell the education sector in Delhi to not listen to the CM but listen to them, okay? The thing is that in fact, I just forgot the point I was trying to make. So what the Supreme Court said is that you've done this through an administrative order. That is incorrect. That is illegal. If you want to do it, take the course of law. So make a law that does the kind of changes you think you should bring into thing. So that is what the government of India is doing. What it was doing through an administrative order, which I also thought was incorrect. I also thought, in fact, that kind of a thing should not have happened. Like this, very, very odd thing that the Lieutenant Governor did, appointing those aldermen in the municipal corporation. I said this is absolutely wrong. The Lieutenant Governor cannot appoint the aldermen.
But this
So
whole
it's not that BJP doesn't do absolutely ridiculous things. So my thing is, now that government of India is bridging that gap, and based on what the position that the Supreme Court has shown, it is bringing a law and bringing what was earlier on through an administrative order, through an ordinance, or then through a law now.
So you don't believe in what Kejriwal is saying and going around tom-tomming the country that, look, they don't respect the Supreme Court, they are overturning a Supreme Court order. You don't think that's the case, what Kejriwal is making out to be?
Oh, absolutely not. He's saving his own neck. Neeruji, one or two instances, okay? The moment the Supreme Court judgment comes, you remember he calls a meeting and starts transferring officers. Remember? And he is an income tax officer. His wife is an income tax officer. He should know. Income tax में 4 बार चिट्ठी नहीं आए तो 2 रुपया नहीं देते ये पट्टे किसी को. He started taking action before the judgment itself came. And the judgment, till we all know, if we win a case, that till the judgment is not published and we don't have it on hand, the judgment is not operational. He starts transfers and postings illegally before the judgment comes. Secondly, which is the first officer he changes? Vigilance. And it is the same Kejriwal who in 2013 was saying that the CBI and vigilance should not be under the government of India. Because how can an investigating department be under a CM or PM whom they can investigate? So the first officer he wanted under him was the very person who was investigating him. And that's the first officer he changes. तो अब ये कोई भजन गा रहे थे क्या, कोई धार्मिक काम कर रहे थे क्या, कोई कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल काम कर रहे थे, अपनी चोरी बचा रहे थे भाई? Then what happens? What is the next thing that happens? The vigilance department is opened at 2:33 at night. Why is vigilance department opened at 3 at night? So clearly, this has nothing to do with constitution. This is to do, with his own constitution. But I don't think he'll be able to stand at the Tihar jail once he goes there.
Right. No, you have a point in what you're saying. But if I remember clearly, didn't Sheila Dikshit also oppose the transfer of bureaucrats?
Ma'am, opposing is one thing. No, everybody, there are times in which you will oppose, okay? But do you make that as an excuse? If there is a system where, ma'am, suppose there is a system in which you are going to give me 15 minutes on TV, I say 20 minutes, I can request you. But ultimately, the power is in your hands.
Right.
Do I go around town and tom-tomming and saying you're unconstitutional? One thing is requesting, one thing is cajoling, one thing is going to them, and things got changed. I mean, there are I can give you a number of instances where she went to the BJP government, things did not happen. I mean, this is not the time to do that. I mean, a lot of her ex-ministers, a lot of her ex-secretaries and all have been actually calling me up and giving me instances. When they said that through persuasion, through talking to them, she would pick up her file. I mean, do people even remember that during the CNG days, she actually went to the Supreme Court?
Yes.
And sat there. And then when the Chief Justice said, since she was not even called, and she said, I will take contempt of court on me. She was not a party to the law. But I will not let this happen. But I request the court to give me time, and I will ensure. And the court said, if the CM says so, I'll do that. She had the guts to do that. She didn't go around saying, it's a BJP court, it's a wrong decision. Let's change that. You want to work for the people of Delhi, you can do that. You want to use excuses to hide your dishonesty and your incompetence, you can do what you want.
But you spoke and gave a lot of examples as to the manner in which Kejriwal conducts himself when it comes to governance. Who do you think is a bigger mess, or maybe a bigger enemy for Congress, BJP or Aam Aadmi Party?
No difference. No difference at all.
But who's
it's an artificially created difference. See, for me, the issue is not whether they are enemies of the Congress. I'll deal with that. That's my problem. That's not a national problem. They're both enemies for this country. They're equally communal. They will use communal symbols as and when they want. Right. I've never heard Modi asking for the photo of Lord Ganesh to come on rupees. Right? They are equally ridiculous in their arguments. I mean, if printing the photographs of gods on rupees can increase our economy, I mean, only a moron like the Delhi Chief Minister can actually frankly make that statement. He is equally casteist. Both of them have used their caste in various meetings. Yeah, I think they are equally dishonest, these two parties. No, I think they're equally convenient in supporting parts of the constitution. So according to me, there is absolutely no difference.
No, but I'm asking, who's more lethal according to you, Kejriwal or...
Kejriwal hasn't got that opportunity. He will be worse.
Okay, so you're saying that Kejriwal will be worse.
Speaking, he will be worse.
Okay. But don't you think that this is a very pick-in situation for Congress? Of course, you said that, Aam Aadmi Party also can be accused of the same double standards. But people would say that, the 15 years citadel of Congress, which was lost at the hands of Aam Aadmi Party, now is the time when Congress really can get back to Kejriwal, and this is an opportunity.
Get back to Kejriwal for what, man? I mean, you see, this is like saying you marry the person who's raped you. Frankly speaking, sorry. And whatever may be my political differences, okay, I don't have an issue. But in this case and in the kind of activities he does, I think he's more dangerous not only to Delhi but to this country than BJP can be or BJP is. And it's not really comparing BJP versus them. I mean, they both are equally dangerous. Both work in their own peculiar and dangerous ways.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sandeep ji. It was wonderful having you on the program. Thanks again for taking all the questions with a straight bat. One appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview: send us your feedback, subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned to The Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.